Thursday, everyone. Welcome into your primetime preview here on WagerTalk. We got a great show for you today. Of course, we're going to go over this game between the Philadelphia Eagles and the New York Giants, kicking us off here for week 6. Now, we're not seeing much movement in these lines. The 7.5 is the spread, with the Eagles rolling in as a favorite. And this is a rivalry game, so a lot of people loving the Giants plus the points. The Giants plus 7.5, sitting right around that minus one or plus 112 to plus 115 kind of market. And we are seeing a total of 40.5. So not much movement in these lines, but we're going to have Adam Trigger in first. He's going to be bringing you all the props that you want to know going into this game. And then we will have Carmine Bianco coming in to fill in all those gaps that you want to know before this game kicks off. So make sure in the questions, in the comments, in the live chat, you do drop those questions for us, what you're wanting to know from these handicappers. Get them in here and do us a solid over on YouTube. Hit that like, that subscribe and notification button. Subscribing over here will get you all of the information that you need to know. And I see all of you new members jumping in. So nice to see the new members here. Let's open our Odds Logic page, so we have the best of those numbers as well, you guys. Let's not miss out on that. But let's bring Adam Trigger in. Let's start talking this game.
What's going on, Joe?
Happy
Thursday to you. Looking forward to talking some NFL with you.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be an interesting matchup between the Philadelphia Eagles and the New York Giants. Now, I know you're not coming at us with a side or a total, but you do have some prop bets for us tonight. When we look at the prop market, who's the first player that you've got circled?
Yeah, I have a play in this game. That's up on my page at WagerTalk, so I do have a play, but I will talk 3 or 4 props I like. I guess the first guy I'll look at is Jackson Dart. The main reason is I've been kind of hyping them up to this point. I thought they should have made the move to Dart back after week 1. Not because I think he's necessarily better than Russell Wilson right now or gives them even a better chance to win. I just think that going forward, you had to get him in there. And I do think he creates a more dynamic sort of like offensive environment, if you will, for the Giants. Like the fact that they have Dart and Scatabo in there now kind of playing is it bodes well for the future. And I like some of the things they do. Now you can look at last week and say, okay, well, Cam made some mistakes and, they've got a long way to go. And I think that that's absolutely true. But then you look at the week before against the Chargers, some of the good things they did in that game to win that game outright on their home field. When it comes to Dart, so it looks like Jalen Carter's going to be out for this game. I read about 10 minutes, like right before we got on, that he is going to be inactive. That's kind of was a rumor all week. Him being out, Joe, I think it is going to allow Dart maybe to scramble around a little bit. Maybe if he gets flushed out, he'll be able to pick up some rush yards. So went back to the Cowboys game. That was, of course, the game where Jalen Carter spit on Dak Prescott and he didn't really play. He was out first before the first play of the game. The Cowboys in that game, 7 for 11 on third down. And they really didn't get home on the pass rush like they maybe would have had Jalen Carter been in there. I think that I don't know that means the Giants just go off offensively, but I do think it means Dart maybe can sneak away, break off a run. Maybe he scores a touchdown. So that's 2 Dart props that I kind of like. I'll say over rush yards and an anytime TD for Dart. I think anytime TD runs somewhere in the plus 350 to 4 to 1 range. And then the rush yards, these props are all over the place. I would say anywhere between like 37.5 and 40. Those are 2 plays that I like on, as far as correlated with Dart. I think he has a good game.
Okay, so we saw Trevor Lawrence on his birthday get a touchdown on the board. He actually got 2 in that game for the Jacksonville Jaguars. It is not Jackson Dart's birthday. I'm seeing in the comments it is your birthday today.
It's not. I don't know who's I don't know who's made it my birthday today. My birthday is July 2nd. So
okay.
Your boy doesn't have a birthday coming up for quite a while, but that's where I'll tell you what, Joe, I'll be 40 in July. So trying
it's going to be a big one.
I know. I'm
Yeah.
trying to push it off as far as possible. So no birthday
It sounds
yet.
like a big trip to Vegas for all the Wager Talk family to celebrate your birthday for your 40th. That would definitely be a lot of fun. But I do think Jackson Dart, nice look there on him for those rushing props. We know he's kind of a maniac out there, Trig. I kind of worry a little bit about him not running out of bounds when those defensemen are coming at him. Do you think he can sustain what he's been doing out there on the field?
Well, that's I think it's important to also note, like, the props. If you go the prop route, he doesn't need to play a great game, right? Like, you're kind of looking for some rush yards. Maybe he breaks one off. That's really where I think the value is when it comes to Dart, is the fact that, like, he's probably going to make mistakes. We saw it last week with the Saints, but he's also got some good it plays in there, I think. And as he gets more reps, I think there's going to be more good plays. You're still going to see the mistakes, but you might see a nice run that goes for a touchdown. You might see him scamper for 20 yards because he has that athleticism, or make a nice throw. So because of Carter not being there, it leads me to believe that, like, they're going to have a harder time getting to him in that sort of pass rush. And I go back to, again, the Cowboys, they didn't win that game, opening week. And they even, the Eagles figured out how to stop them in the second half. But they couldn't get off the field. 7 for 11 on third down. And if the Giants convert on third down, I think it's going to be like a broken play for a run. And who knows, maybe one of those runs ends up in the end zone and he cashes that anytime TD. So that's kind of how I'm looking at that.
Yeah, great value out there. If you guys are shopping those lines, you're finding between plus 335 and plus 350. So head on over to Odds Logic, shop those lines for sure. You do have the same birthday, Trig, for July 2nd as David's kids. So happy early birthday. If we're wishing you a happy early birthday to David's kid as well. Okay, so we've got one prop underway. Actually, two there for Jackson Dart for his rushing yards and that anytime touchdown. Which player do you have circled next?
Yeah, so I want to do something with the Eagles having some rushing success here. So you go back to last week, Joe, they lose a game where they gave up 18 unanswered points in the fourth quarter, and they didn't run the ball at all. Like, that to me is a kind of a massive fail for the Eagles, right? Like, you have this lead, and they only attempted 11 rushes the entire game. They didn't get Saquon involved. I think he had 6 rushing attempts in that whole game, and that's puzzling to me because you had a lead at home. You had a home lead against the Broncos, and they didn't turn the ball over. That's not how the Broncos came back and won that game. It was they got their stops, and I think the Eagles maybe could have prevented that if they leaned on the rush game a little bit more. So, listen, could Saquon have a huge night tonight? Probably. He definitely could. The Giants are not a great run defense. But the tough part about Hurts or Saquon when it comes to rushing props is you're going to pay that tax, right? Like, you're going to pay even off of a bad game. I don't even know if you call it a bad game. He just didn't get many carries. But even off of a down game for Saquon, like, you're still going to have to cover a pretty premium number on a prop, right? I think Saquon's probably like 90 yards, 88, 89, 90 yards. So, Joe, I think the way I want to go in this one is A.J. Dillon over 9.5 rush yards. The reason is I think that the Eagles are going to try to run the ball more. So you should get at least a touch or two for Dillon. The only game he didn't attempt a rush was that Packers game. All 4 other Eagles games, he's got, I believe, at least 2 touches. And he's averaging 5.3 yards per carry this season. All 4 other Eagles games, he's gone 10 yards or more running the ball. So, he may only get 3 or 4 carries in this game, but they seem to come at a time where he pays them off a little bit. 5.3 yards per carry is pretty good. I just think that if the Eagles do go out and they do try to establish the run a little bit more, which makes sense since they are a big favorite, and you almost have to handicap the game from the perspective that they might have a lead here at some point, I think you'll see Dillon get a touch or two, and that might be all it takes, right? He's averaging over 5 yards per carry. He gets 2 touches. 1 for 8 yards, 1 for 4, something like that. You got your over 9.5 yards. So that's the way I'm going to look. A.J. Dillon over 9.5 yards.
Yeah, and we're seeing that number actually dropping down on some of the books. So there are some 8.5s out there for anyone that's shopping those lines. It's perfect.
Yeah, and again, that's like one of those ones where it's like, you don't have to go that route. the way I look at it is this. I do think the Eagles are going to run the ball more than they have. I look at the total for Hurts. It's known that Hurts is going to attempt some runs. So he would have to have a pretty big game running the ball, right? Over, I think 40 and a half.
40 and a half.
I look at I look at Saquon. You're still going to need like 90 yards out of him to cash that rushing prop. So we had one of these like maybe week 1 when I was on the show with like the backup tight end for the Bears. It was like that first Monday night. And I think finally, like with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter, he got his like one reception that put him over the yards prop. They're a tough watch, Joe, because you might get 3 carries in the whole game. But if it's one good one, goes for 10 yards.
Right? Are you like me, Adam? Are you sitting there screaming at the TV? Just give him the ball. Give him the ball. Like, will you be screaming to give Dylan the ball in this game? Because I will be for you.
So not really. Like I don't really watch the game.
Yeah.
And for the props, like I'll really only like the only way I'm going to be like ultra locked in on an NFL game is if I have a side bet. So I will be a side or a total bet. So I will be locked in on this game tonight. But no, something like that, Joe, to be honest with you, a lot of times I like I'll just watch it. Now, if Dart's out in the open, I'm going to be trying to get him into the end zone, of course, trying to root that home. But like that one, I think it was Cole Kmet. It was one of those things where I kind of looked down. I think it was garbage time. I'm like, oh, Kmet just went over that prop. So it's like,
Oh, I'm always screaming. I got that list, Adam. I got my fantasy players that I need to, reach certain targets. I've got my player props out there and I'm just on it every single night. But I want to mention Jalen Hurts off that last game, only 3 rushing yards. That was shocking. The first time in 71 starts that he had such a low number. His number is 40 and a half though today, you guys. It is pretty high. Saquon Barkley at that 88 and a half. And so AJ Dillon at 8.5 looks like a great number that you can get out there. We did have a question that I just wanted to address before you go on to your next prop bet here. They were asking if you think Hyatt for a touchdown.
I mean, listen, any prop, any one of those that is like, and this is just kind of my theory with props. I would prefer someone like that that's not the main threat in a prop bet over like a big name. That's why right there, like Dart, I think is, I guess, like he'll be popular enough, but I think on the Giants side, I think you're going to see more Scatabo type related props. So that's why I can kind of maybe justify looking at Dart. I borderline refuse, Joe, to bet a prop for like a Saquon or a Hurts or someone like that, just because I know that the books are going to force you to basically take a bad number. Now, Jalen Hyatt, Slayton is banged up. Neighbors obviously done for the year. Yeah, I mean, I don't dislike that. He only had 3 targets last week, but you got to think he's maybe a little bit more involved. So I don't know. That's a tough one. I think receivers can be really hit or miss. I find those almost the toughest to gauge. So I could, but Junius or whoever asked that question, I'm not sure. I missed who asked the question, but like I can't talk you off of it because he's not going to be the main giant in props, but he should get more looks than maybe he ever has. So I wouldn't say no to that. I guess I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, and it's coming in at plus 750. Crypto Parlay God was asking that question of you. And then we do have one more other comment here that I wanted to address, and it's that Jalen Hurts hasn't thrown an interception yet this season. It is true. If he does throw that interception tonight and you're betting on that, you guys, it's plus 178. It's minus 240 to the no. I can't take a no at that, but I don't see that interception really coming. Or could you, Trig?
It's tough. Like, I feel like stuff like that, especially with Hurts, I think I'd be less inclined to bet an interception prop just because I have to think he keeps it on the ground more. The way this game sets up on a short week for Philly, the fact that they threw it a ton last week and then they, of course, lose that game to the Broncos, I really think that they're going to try to run the ball more than they throw it. So I'm not sure that here is where I would want to take that shot. That being said, these Thursday night games, Joe, they kind of can go off the rails, right? It's a short week for both teams. They tend to be tough games to handicap. They tend to favor the team that I think is a little bit better, but then the the better of the teams tends to, and I think, at least historically, to do better in these Thursday night games. But then you also have to take injuries into consideration, which, of course, the Eagles probably have the biggest injury that wasn't known prior to this week, right? Like, you can say Neighbors is a big injury. He's now that we've known about that for a couple weeks. So they're really challenging handicaps from a side perspective. I think I'd fade. I don't know if I would do that. I don't know if I like the Hurts interception. I think they're going to run it too much for me to be comfortable with that.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. We're going to get onto your next prop. The chat is calling out the fact the Phillies and the Dodgers are still 0-0. We're at the top of the fifth. I took extra innings in this one because I think the Phillies are going to push the Dodgers all the way. And we know the Dodgers, if they get down at some point, they can fight their way back into this. So that total's low now, you guys. 4.5. Not sure if it will get to that over, but those live lines are moving. Trig, what's your next best bet in tonight's primetime game?
Those are really the only ones I had that would be like the next ones down the list for me, Joe, would be going back to the rushing prop and trying, like, I think if you pin me down for Hurts, Barkley, like, to find which one of those, I think I would go shop around for the absolute best number on a Barkley over, just because he just was used so infrequently last week, and now he's back at MetLife Stadium. You have to think that, like, they may want to give him the ball here, like, just because of that. Now, I think, and part of the reason I want to go back to liking Dylan or like another sort of maybe lesser option, you got to think the Giants are going to be sitting there like, we can't let this guy beat us, right? They very famously, they kind of like second guessed themselves after that trade. He was the most popular player in the franchise. The fact that, like, Giants fans definitely still have not forgiven the Giants for having let him go, and of course let him go to the Eagles. So who knows how they're going to game plan, but maybe the Giants say, let's let anyone else beat us other than Saquon. Even if they do game plan for that, still might not matter, because that's just how good he is. And I think if the Eagles want to get him the ball, that they will. So again, if the rush prop is too juiced up for Saquon, maybe a receiving prop, because he can get involved in the pass game as well. I just think you see him get more touches than he did against the Broncos. I can't really understand why he was not used more in that game.
Yeah, it's hard to understand why he wasn't used more. And another player that's looking and calling out the fact that he hasn't been used more is A.J. Brown. He has a receiving prop of 63.5. So if you think Jalen Hurts is going to give the squeaky wheel the oil in this one, A.J. Brown over 63.5 rushing or receiving yards, coming right in at minus 112. And A.J. Brown for the anytime touchdown at plus 190. Have you touched anything with him? Have you looked into his market at all, Trig?
I haven't, and only because I find the receivers, I almost never get it right when it comes to like receiving props. Joe, if I take McConkey, Keenan Allen has a career day. If I take Allen, McConkey goes for 4 scores. It's stuff like that. So it's like when I'm looking at props, I tend to look toward quarterbacks more, or I'm looking at like the absolute sort of like unknown, lesser option that's going to be priced the way I think something shouldn't be priced. So star receivers are just not in my wheelhouse when it comes to props.
Not a problem at all. Well, I know you do have a bet up for sale on WagerTalk.com. Everyone can go over and get that. So do you just want to promote that a little bit for us and then just recap those player props that you have in tonight's game?
Yeah, I got to play on the side tonight. I saw someone in the chat ask about baseball. I passed on both the baseball games today. Joe, you know what? Your Phillies Dodgers extra inning bet, I don't dislike that one bit. That was the game I kind of like had honed in on, and I thought maybe I would make a play on the Phillies. As the day went on, I started to like the Dodgers a little bit more, and I kind of said, man, this feels like it's going to be a tight game that comes down to one big hit or a big sort of, play one way or the other. I passed on it, but I'm going to root for extra innings for you now. Yeah, it was a tough MLB slate. I'll throw something very, very niche out. I don't know if this game is going to get in because there's rain in Korea. But if the KBO playoffs go ahead in the morning, I would look toward the SSG Landers in game 2 of their playoff series with Samsung. They just put a lineup for it. Plus 1.5 in that game is even money. I don't know if I'll give it out to clients because there's such a threat of rain, and it may get canceled. But I do think that that's a good bet. If you wanted me to just go off the board with a niche market, Korean baseball SSG plus 1.5, I think is a decent bet. As far as my props are concerned, Dart anytime TD plus 350. Dart over rushing yards, I think like something like 38.5, maybe something like that. David Havley, KBO goes forever. They don't end until like almost like sometime in November. Their playoffs take a very long time. I just saw that question in the chat. So Dart anytime TD, Dart over rushing yards, AJ Dillon over rushing yards. Those are the 3 I'll give out on the show.
Okay.
And of course, the SSG Landers plus 1.5.
I love it, Adam. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Primetime Preview. Really appreciate your time. Crush it over there on the books. You're going to be part of that weekend warrior that's going to be running. You're going to get all of your football plays. You've been crushing it in football as well, professional and college. So head on over, you guys, to WagerTalk.com. Adam, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me, guys. See you next week.
Thank you. Okay, you guys, that was Adam Trigger. Do head on over to WagerTalk.com to grab the best of his bets for this Thursday night football game. He does have a play on either the side or the total. Not quite sure where it's coming in. He gave you all of those prop bets, which I'm loving where he's going with that. Jackson Dart, it's going to be interesting to see what we get out of him in this matchup. Now, I saw in the chat you guys were talking about Theo Johnson. We are seeing Theo Johnson listed on the books. Not sure what you mean by there's only Theo Vaughn. I'm not seeing, I am seeing Theo Johnson listed over on all the books that I have gone into. So if you want to head on over, I do think Theo Johnson is going to have a solid night. We look at him here, and he has been getting those receptions from Jackson Dart. Looking at the defense of the Philadelphia Eagles, I think they're going to put that pressure on Jackson Dart. We're going to have to see. Theo Vaughn is a comedian, David. Theo Vaughn is a comedian. I was throwing me off. I was like, Theo Vaughn, I don't know where you're seeing that. So Theo Johnson out there, he should be able to get things done tonight. I did look at him for the anytime touchdown. Looking at him for the anytime touchdown is plus 400. This actually has gone down during the day. It was plus 420 earlier in the day. So definitely watch over there for Theo Johnson to be able to have a solid night. You could also look at his receiving prop. I think a lot of short receptions out of him, and the defense will be all over knowing they're going to him. The 3.5 for his receptions, you guys, it is minus 112 to minus 116 out there on the book. So have a look at that. There's a couple other ways I think you can bet this one. We will have Carmine Bianco coming in just a couple of minutes here. So stay tuned and drop your questions in the live chat over here on YouTube for him, and hit that subscribe button, you guys. If you're not yet subscribed over here on YouTube, make sure you do so, and hit the notification button as well. We're going to see the secondary here of the Giants has had its struggles, right? So I'm kind of looking, and we're going to bring Carmine in. I'll let him give his thoughts on this as well. The Eagles team total, it's 24.5. With the struggles in the Giants secondary, you got to think if A.J. Brown is able to get that ball from Jalen Hurts, this should be a team that can put up those points, even if they don't play Saquon Barkley to his full extent. So let's bring in Carmine Bianco and see what he's liking in this Thursday night matchup.
Sorry, I'm a little late. Jo. I was watching the Pittsburgh New York Islanders game. There's so much hockey going on, 14 games tonight, that I lost complete track of time. So my apologies to you. But, and speaking with a few people today, a lot of people seem to be leaning towards this, the Philadelphia team total. It's tough for me to get there just because I have like a lean on the under. I just think this is one of those games in which, Barkley pretty much ran over the Giants last season. They're probably going to want to do something to mitigate that, stop that from happening again. It's maybe it's the MetLife Stadium turf that does it this time around. I know Barkley's probably happy not to be there anymore. or at least for 8 games this season. But I'm looking at rushing props, and specifically so I'm looking at QB rushing props. Like, I have to believe the Giants' way of either covering, but in their minds of winning this game, is to control the ball, keep Philadelphia off the field. And one of the things is with Tyrone Tracy. He's supposed to be in the lineup tonight, but we could see limited action from him as well too. I think some plays that are schemed up for Jackson Dart in today's game is the way to go as far as rushing goes. Like, his Dart's props right now are 37.5, his rushing yards. And it's -112. I'm kind of leaning to that prop as one of my favorite props on the days, the Jackson Dart rushing props. And then obviously on the other side, if they do key in on, or try and key in on, trying to slow down Saquon Barkley, who's at 89.5, his rushing prop is Jalen Hurts. I joke around with producer Dan all the time, saying that basically the Philadelphia Eagles are a team with 2 running backs. Just one of them happens to be designated as a quarterback. But with all kidding aside, Jalen Hurts, 39.5 rushing yards. This is one of those ones where if you like the under, you're going to want some of these prolonged drives where they run the ball, get down to the 20, and hopefully turn those supposed touchdowns into field goals, and it keeps this game under the total. We saw the total taking a hit from the opening line. I think it opened up at 42 or 43.5. Joe, I think it's at 40.5 now. I think it opened up at 42.5.
Yeah, it opened up right around that 42.5. We do have a hockey question, but first we do have a comment here on the Eagles in the first half, laying the 3.5. We know in that last game, Carmine, they were able to get up nice and strong, and then they gave the game away at the end. Could you see this one sort of playing out that way, where they get up strong and then they just let it go again at the end?
You definitely could see it. Anytime you've got a touchdown and it's specifically on 7 points, you're always worried about that back door and giving it up late. And we know how analytics work. So I'm not saying this is what's going to happen, but let's give out the hypothetical. The Eagles are up 14 points, Joe, late in the game. And the Giants, they basically play prevent defense. Giants move downfield, score a TD. What are they doing? Analytics tells you to go for 2 points. It gives you a better chance of winning. So you never want to be on that end of analytics where they make the 2-pointer and you lose because you laid 7 with the Eagles, or you win because you laid 7 with the Eagles and they don't complete the 2-point conversion. It always comes into it. It's one of those things that old school guys like me never understood, why a team would go for 2 points when they're down 14 and they score a TD, but analytics are part of it. The backdoor cover is always the scariest thing. And we've seen some really ugly Eagles finishes this season. Obviously the game against the LA Rams, where it didn't turn out well for the Rams, and then blowing a lead to the Denver Broncos. So this early in the season, can the Giants cover the 7 points? I wouldn't be surprised. I would love it at 7.5, to be honest with you. And I contemplated, if it was 7.5, I would have taken the Giants in my circa millions, which is running very good right now. 13-2 the last 3 weeks of circa millions. But at 7, it's just one of those numbers where I thought this could very well land on it. Books are very sharp, and they're never going to, or they move off that 7 unless there's serious injuries on either side of that ball. So with that said, some books will hang up a 7.5 and just make you pay an insane amount of juice. Mm-hmm. You've got to win at a higher percentage rate to make up for that increase in VIG.
Yeah, you absolutely do. I'm going to get to this hockey question because people are asking. This game is underway, the Montreal Canadiens versus the Detroit Red Wings. Montreal is now a plus 220 underdog, Carmine. This team played last night. They took a loss after going so tight into that third period, 3 unanswered goals in the third period. Can they fight their way back here versus the Detroit Red Wings? I took both teams to score in the over 1.5 in the first period. So come on, Montreal, let's go.
Yeah, you need one from Montreal. You know, the funny thing is, a friend of mine who's one of my partners in the Circa contests as well too, and he's our CFL insider, Rob Rayleigh, called me earlier and said to me that the goalie for Montreal, his last 7 starts that he's been in goal, the Montreal Canadiens have given up the first goal of the game. And
Wow.
lo and behold, who scores the first goal of the game tonight? The Detroit Red Wings. So that is now 8-0. So Rob Braley, if you're out there watching this, kudos to you on that one. I know you can bet at some books who will score the first goal of the game. It's not something I would play personally, but I do hope you get there, Joe, with the both teams to score an over 1.5, because that normally plays extremely well. And I do not know if Andrew McInnes played that one for the guy who was asking. Andrew is a Montreal fan through and through. He loves his team.
What to love them this season, though, Carm? I think this season they have all the recipes for a strong team. We do have a question here on Tyrone Tracy. Over 1.5 receptions in this game. It's so juiced at minus 165, but do you see him getting targeted a couple times in this game?
I could see it. You know, the only problem is again, being limited in practice, you just don't know how much they're going to use him. You know what I mean? And the sheer fact that his, if I looked at it, I believe I did mention it, the sheer fact that his rushing yards were so low, and they're here somewhere. I think his rushing yards were at 17.5. I see the rush attempts for him, and they're only at 6.5. Shaded 130 to the over. And as far as like rushing yards, his rushing yards, so while he's only averaged 22.7, his rushing yards are at 21.5. I'm not sure how much of whether he's going to be limited or not in the game, whether they use him. We'll see. Obviously, it's a tough thing for Jackson Dart in the fact that he loses a couple tools. One may be limited. But obviously you lose neighbors as well too. So you have to, they have to put in a game plan. You need all your tools to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. That team is so good. But with that said, it's a divisional game in which you got a divisional dog at home getting 7 points. You never know. I wouldn't lay the $1.60, $1.65 to get to that question, even though 1.5 seems about right. I would never lay that number. It's kind of like the last Thursday, I think on the show, I gave you 3 props on the show. All 3 props hit. Yeah. And the juice just got away. I think it was the Darnold one where under half a yard rushing. And for the 4th time in 5 games, he went under half a yard rushing. And as I mentioned last season with him, it took 13 games before he actually had more than a yard rushing. So with that said, the juice gets away with you on some of these props because books know you're playing it, and they're hoping you will lay it, because at the end of the day, you continue to lay that 160 juice and you're going to go broke.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, and it's too much of a sweat for that kind of return on that one. Just a quick update on the Diamonds, you guys. Phillies and Dodgers still 0-0 going into the top of the 6 right now. That total's dropped to 3.5, Carmine. Plus 120. Man, I tell you, it feels like one of these teams is going to get 2, another one's going to get 1, and maybe possibly we go to extra innings. And if that's the case,
well,
that 3.5
I got some good news for you, Joe.
Okay.
I see on my screen an alert saying the Montreal Canadiens are about to score, and they have tied it up at 1-1. So there's some good news for you.
Good news.
That makes your day.
Come on, I need to do shows with you all the time if I'm going to sit here and cash. That's perfect.
We're bringing you good news ahead of the game. But I always love to hear from the guys in the chat. Puck time started. Our chat is absolutely, our live chat is actually hopping each and every day. And once we get some swag in, I'll start running some contests on Puck Time as well too.
What time is that running daily, Carmine, for people to jump
11
in?
a.m. live every single day, Monday to Fridays, unless there is a day in which there are no games, which with 14 games tonight, there are 0 games tomorrow. And it's too early in the season for me to record my 6 and 60 segment. So give it a couple of weeks, guys. And for those of you that follow the 6 and 60 segment, even when there isn't a Friday card, I will make sure I record a 60-60 segment for you guys for the Saturday card.
That is awesome. One more question here from Big Sis Lisa, because she's in this chat all the time. She wants to know what the Eagles offense must do in order to beat the Giants here tonight.
Pretty much the same thing as I think the Giants need to do is the Eagles don't need to get out in front and blow them out early on. I think if they establish the run and they make the Giants committed to trying to stop the run, it opens up that passing game for Jalen Hurts. And even if he goes short, he's got plenty of targets that he can get that ball to. Just time-consuming drives. You shorten the game that way. And if they get up by double digits, your only concern, if you're on the Giants, is whether they can sort of backdoor the game. And your only concern on Philadelphia is that that they're up big enough that back door is firmly locked in the fourth quarter. And coming off a loss to Denver, you'd have to believe that they're going to play a complete 60 tonight. So we shall see. I know a lot of people love the Giants at 7.5. I'm not so sure those same people would take them at 7.
Yeah, absolutely. Carm, it's going to be a great night out there. Do you have any other bets that we should be looking at before I let you get back to the hockey slate? Because I tell you, Carm, there's goals across the board tonight. They're great games. So anything else in Thursday night football before you head on back?
Yeah, well, as far as the football game goes, it's just the rushing props for me in that one. I've sort of taken the narrative and viewpoint that this is going to be one of those games in which both teams, or at least at the very least, the Giants try and establish the run. Obviously, that only works if they can keep this game either be ahead or keep it within a score. If the Eagles get up by a couple scores, it takes the Giants out of their game plan, and they're going to have to open up the game a little bit more. They're going to have to throw the ball. It becomes a little tougher, but the longer this is a one-score game, the rushing props are going to be good, and they're going to be good to in-game bet them as well. So that's something you look at. When you're in-game betting, you want one of two things. If it's a game in which you're watching it and both teams are rushing the ball and rushing it with some success, you're going to want to bet those rushing props in-game. The only other time you want is when you have a good running back in a blowout. Your only fear is that they take them out in the fourth quarter. But if the Eagles get up big, they're just going to keep handing it off to Saquon Barkley, have him pick up 4 or 5 yards here, 4 or 5 yards there, get a first down, and it's a rinse and repeat, and he hits his number. 89.5 is always tough. If your mindset is the Eagles are going to win this game and win this game easily, then I probably wouldn't take the rushing props, because he's going to have to hit that early, because he very well could be on the sidelines by the time the fourth quarter rolls around. So you don't want to be on the wrong end of that one.
Very good point there, Carmine. Okay, we know you're part of the Weekend Warrior package, which is great if you guys are looking to bet football, but you also have your hockey show during the week. That is at 11 a.m. Eastern. Where else can people find you, and what else can they expect when they go over to WagerTalk to grab your packages?
Yeah, one thing I'm going to do it all season long is I will have a free play every single day in the NHL. So if you head over to that free play section, and every once in a while in the free play section, I will throw up a promo coupon to get whether it's $10 or $15 off of something. I have a 5% play up in the NFL, which is part of obviously the Weekend Warrior. We'll have college. I have 2 plays up. One was part of the $5 Tuesdays at WagerTalk, and one is a 5% play, which is a standalone play as well too. So for $49, you're going to get all the plays on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Another winning week in the NFL, 7-1 run in the NFL with 4% and 5% plays, which is what I'm releasing now. And then again, going back to just to show you how long and successful it's been, going back to the 2022, the start of the 2022 season, up 142.94 units when releasing a 4 or 5% play in the NFL, which is number one amongst all cappers at WagerTalk.
Nicely done, Carmine. Well, all the best tonight in your Thursday night football bets, as well as out there on the ice. It looks like things are getting hot, so definitely going over. Finish watching those games, and let's root on some more winners tonight.
All right. Best of luck to you as well, too. Plenty of goals happening right now in the NHL, which is good because people love goals. Yeah. It is so tough when we talk about these games on, and I'm going to toss in one more. Quick one, because it's a late one for you guys. I know that if the NFL game disappoints you at the end of the day, you still have the Vegas Golden Knights game, and coming off that blown lead and that loss to the LA Kings, which if you listen to Puck Time, I gave the Kings out as an underdog, not a best bet, but an underdog winner. I think they bounce back here. They fare well. When they go to San Jose, they play extremely well. Their last 4 regular season games, they've won by 2 or more goals. You can get that puck line on the Vegas game tonight, -1.5 plus 127. So let's see if Mitch Marner, Jack Eichel, and the Vegas Golden Knights can rebound from that loss last night and win at the Shark Tank.
They're definitely going to be looking to rebound there, and I think they rebound straight out of the gate. That first period puck line only laying that half a goal. Another nice way to take that game, Carmine. But thank you so much for joining us here today on your primetime preview. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Carmine. Okay, you guys, head on over to WagerTalk.com to find all of Carmine's packages for sale over there. You don't want to miss out. He is absolutely killing it again. He is part of that Weekend Warrior package where you'll get all of his plays on Saturday and Sunday in football, as well as those Monday plays at no extra cost, just for $49 over on WagerTalk.com. And that's not just for Carmine, that's for all of the handicappers here on WagerTalk. So I got a couple more things to go over with you guys before I let you go here. I do think there's a player on the defensive side for the New York Giants that you want to have circled on your slate tonight. That's Abdul Carter, and I do think he should be able to get that sack tonight. He's coming in at plus 154 to be able to get that sack. Now, he is coming out of Penn State last year, and last year with Penn State, he was able to get a total of 23 sacks, 12 total sacks last year. If he can get to Jalen Hurts in this one, I do think at plus 154 market, definitely somewhere you want to look in this game. I'm expecting the Giants defense to show up big in this game, really putting that pressure because it is a rivalry game here that they will have circled. So Abdul Carter for the sack at plus 154. He already has a half a sack on the season. I do think looking at the Eagles team total over the 24.5, Carmine said caution a little bit because it seems like a lot of people are rolling with the Eagles to be able to go over the 24.5. I just look at this, you guys, and I think there's a little bit of overreaction to some of the injuries there for the Eagles off that loss in a game where they should have had it sealed up. They shouldn't have given away the lead, but it's still the New York Giants. And I think we either see the Giants keep this competitive and play a strong game, and I eat my words, or it just goes completely the other way, and the Eagles are able to win this by double digits and just double digits. I'm looking for them to win it by a touchdown and a field goal, so by 10 points. So I did kind of play around with that alt market just for a little sprinkle. I didn't lay the 7.5 with the Eagles. I just took a 9.5 and got great plus money. A couple of you mentioned what the extra inning price was out there for the Dodgers and the Phillies. That game's still sitting 0-0. I'm just checking where the bottom of the 6. It was plus 650. If you want to jump in on the extra innings now, it's only plus 310, you guys. At plus 360, it was already a number that was so low compared to what we normally see for the extra inning bets, but I had to put some money on it because it was something that I was expecting. So the NHL, those first period, both teams to score have been paying. They've been absolute money. So make sure you do join Carmine tomorrow. Look at all his bets that he's going to be having for. Actually, there's no show tomorrow because there's no hockey tomorrow. It still doesn't make any sense. No hockey on a Friday here as we start off the season. Seems like something the NHL would do. But Dart going to have a game. I'm seeing in the comments here. Yeah, I think Dart has to have a better game than the last one. Now, if you do think Dart is going to come out and throw that interception again, well, the books have it juice. I want to mention that the anytime interception for Jackson Dart, he turned the ball over, 5 times in a row in the last game? Don't count on that number to be exact, but I believe it was 5 times in a row. He's minus 160 for the interception in this game. He could throw it. Now, one way to tackle that, and I love the defensive props, and I know a lot of you don't love those defensive props, but I think if Jackson Dart throws that interception like the books are expecting, you can look at that defensive touchdown out there for the Philadelphia Eagles. They have every opportunity of running it back in. At plus 650, for me, it's something I would look at. Now, Jalen Hurts hasn't thrown the interception yet this season. They're giving us plus 1,100 for the Giants defense to force him into a situation where he throws that interception. I don't see it happening, but I do think Abdul Carter will put that pressure on him in this game. Like I said, I'm high on A.J. Brown in this. I'm also high on Jalen Hurts for his passing props to the over. We haven't seen any real movement in his numbers of 196.5, but I do think it still goes over that number. If you're looking at Jackson Dart, his number of 177.5 is right around that minus 110 mark. Again, I don't have the faith in Jackson Dart. And when we look at Jalen Hurts for those passing touchdowns, I do think he could go over 1.5 passing touchdowns. It's coming in at plus 154. Look for A.J. Brown to be a target for him. Jackson Dart over half a passing touchdown is minus 186. I do think Cam Scatterbo probably runs it in, and Dart himself for the New York Giants, so I can't go there. But if you're looking at, and then Theo Johnson, don't forget about Theo Johnson, the tight end. He's going to get those looks, but I do think Theo Johnson's probably the only wide receiver that he's a tight end, the only receiver tight end that I would look for getting in the end zone with that passing touchdown. But I would look here at A.J. Brown at plus 185 for the Eagles to get that reception and the touchdown. And then I would look further down the list. And A.J. Dillon, we saw Adam Trigger bringing him up. He is plus 1,100. You might get that short handoff to him there, but I do think Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Saquon Barkley, but Saquon Barkley is too juiced. But you guys, for the spread, for me, I had to alt the Philadelphia Eagles. I laid the 9.5. I see your questions out there. I think the Eagles are such a stronger team, and I know it's a rivalry game here, but I don't have the faith. So Thursday night football, I'm with you, Phoenix Sundust. I think it's an over. So you guys, below this video, hit the like, hit the subscribe and notification button here on YouTube. And underneath this video, let me know who you're liking for an anytime touchdown tonight, who you're going to brag with if you hit that first touchdown prop, who you're sweating tonight on your fantasy team, because I know we all play fantasy out there. I want to know who you've got, who you need a big night for. But you guys, thanks so much for joining me here for your primetime preview. Remember, last call is on Saturday and Sundays. Kelly and Ariel taking you away on those days. I will be back for your primetime preview on Monday. So Monday and Thursdays, you can catch me here. When we have the doubleheader, we start an hour early. So normally it's 7 p.m. Eastern. Because of the doubleheader coming up, it will be 6 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you join me then, you guys. All the best in all of your bets. Until next Monday, stay hot and let's make some freaking money.